come along, baby, whole lot of shaking going on. Well, come along, baby, whole lot of shaking going on. We're thinking a lot of shaking going on. Help me out now.
Come on.
Well, I said, shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Ooh, shake it, baby, shake it. You gotta shake it, baby, shake it. Jump on over. Whole lot of shaking going on. Whoa, all right, everybody, we're going to shake it up here today, and I'm going to host the show, and I'm going to interview Pete.
3 chords and the truth, baby. Let's do it.
Say no more. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you that we're going to shake things up, so we are. And for the first time on 3 Chords and the Truth, we're going to interview the hosts of 3 Chords and the Truth. And there's Pete and there's Alex.
That would be us guys over here.
That
Wow.
would be you guys over there.
Now, a couple of goofballs.
We made
man.
it. We made
Come
it.
on, man. Yeah, nice.
And I guess the show has become pretty popular.
And for lack of a better word, it really has.
Still waiting for my contract extension.
Okay, I guess these 2 kids are very humble. Basically, it's probably time that we interviewed you guys, and I think you picked the perfect.
Wait a
host.
minute. I'm not put into this. Wait a minute,
Sebastian.
I have a camera on me this time. You're getting all the love.
So-
Who puts this together? All right.
All
Who
right,
puts
so-
the camera on here?
all right.
That's what I'm
You know
saying.
what? Do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what, Sebastian?
Yes.
We're gonna start with you.
Oh,
Because
okay. All
I
right.
want to know, and so does
Yeah.
the world,
Okay.
how this all happened. How did Pete approach you? Did you approach Pete? Because Sebastian, and by the way, just let me state this. I think that because of my seminars and things like that, people know that not only have I been entertaining all of my life, and I grew up in a vaudeville family, that I've been suffering from a depression, and I obviously stutter. So that's why you guys probably chose me to host the show.
That's exactly why.
And Sebastian has actually, and some people would call him an intern, but I'd actually call him my associate producer. Oh my
got
God.
There we got it.
And I'm wondering how this all started. Could you tell us about that?
You want my first point of view of like how this started, of course.
Yeah, I did.
So I mean, how it started was because I started my 42 North 70 West sports show. Because I always wanted to get into podcasting. I've always wanted to just, get out there. I mean, the reason I started podcasting was to basically help my anxiety. Because now I can prove to myself, I can get in front of a camera, or I can make it even look good. That's my reason I started my show.
And you just happen to be good looking.
Yeah, that's another.
And here I thought everything started in the womb.
That's what I thought.
All right. So, I mean, of course, I started, and then I got up. I was talking to Pete. He was my number 1 fan, of course. Thank you, Pete, for being my number 1 fan of the show.
Always.
So I, of course, started the show, and now Pete was like, "What if, I want to do something too with like local musicians? Like, what if I did something with local musicians?" And and I'm over here like, well, my sports show looks good. How about I make your show look good too? Because now I can build a resume. He said, like, even Pete told me, you could build a resume if you go with me right now, and you could build this show. And it started off, we would tell the story. It started off with Gremlins. Kind of we had a not a good start, really. It's like we like to put it. We didn't have a good start. So I said, you know what? No, I got to do this right. We got to do it right.
Wait a minute.
I'm a perfection artist.
Hang on.
What?
Let me tell you something.
Try mode.
He's going ahead and sugarcoating things because,
Uh-oh.
quite frankly, I'm going to give kudos to him because when I said I wanted to do a local music show, he's like, I'm going to come and produce it for you. I got this stupid camcorder that I just figured I would go ahead and put it on. And Sebastian is the one who said, now you got to realize he comes here every week
Mhm.
from Hamburg. So he's got about a 15-mile drive that he comes here and he does this for me out of the kindness of his heart. I fill up his gas tank once in a while.
Mhm.
I feed him linguine and clams.
It's a good payment.
And
I remember the first time you said, Pete, VHS is not going to work with the show.
But no, it was Sebastian's idea. I mean, he really made this whole thing happen. So, don't say that you didn't do anything, because you do everything.
Well, yeah.
It wouldn't happen without you. So I will shut up again. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Finish your story.
All right. Well, how I missed.
Oh, Sebastian.
I know.
We love
Thank you. So I mean, to really finish the story, it's just like I have so much fun doing this. That's like, it's my thing, Sometimes, some things don't go right, sometimes, it's like, oh my God, I got to figure this out. But, when I solve the problem, I'm happy, it's like a rush. It's like, I figured it out. I did it. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Well.
And, now you see while people don't know, everyone was talking, I'm switching the cameras. Like we were going to talk, Richie, we talked about before. Like you were going to talk about, how am I doing this? I'm switching the cameras with my hand, basically. My right hand right now, it just switches each camera. So we have three.
I mean, could you give the people an example
Yeah.
of the different cameras and tell us what you're focusing on?
Oh yeah, well, I focus on, like, if you guys are all laughing at once, right?
Oh my God. That is the funniest.
So how'd that work out?
I work with children. I looked in the camera for that one too. So, all right. So, my example is if I'm talking, the camera's on me. If I have, the whole thing, you guys see everything, it's more of personal because you can see the whole conversation. And then if I got camera one, I have Alex's and Pete's faces.
Where's camera one?
Camera one's over here. So
camera one's over there.
Everybody, that's you. Yeah, that's camera one.
Put on camera one.
I am on
This is a
camera
good time
one,
for a
yes.
label
Everybody
maker.
wave to camera one.
That's camera one.
All right.
Camera two, of course. Richie, that's yours.
Where's camera two?
That's you.
Hey, that's
two.
camera two.
El numero dos.
All right.
Camera three is, of course, the wide angle.
Oh, that's camera three.
Yeah,
And that's one with the wide.
Yes.
lens.
Yes.
The Canon.
The whole thing. And of course, camera four is me. And of course.
All right.
But
let me tell you something about
Yeah.
Sebastian's professionalism, because that first show that we did, he was so aggravated because
Oh, I remember that.
he is
Yeah.
so much a perfectionist
Mhm.
that when we got off the air, he ran out the garage door. I'm like, I went up to the stairs to Ronnie, and I'm like, where the hell did he go?
I was steaming.
Yeah.
Oh, you were pissed.
So-
You almost took
Sebastian
Pete's
was
HHR
steaming.
and drove off the Niagara Gorge.
He was running down the street punching mailboxes.
No, whoa.
He was
The
Wait a minute.
other side of Sebastian.
Wait
You're
a
dirty
minute.
talk.
Wait a minute.
All right, that's a good. I'm
right.
going to shut up. Let's get
All
this
right.
back under control.
Yes. Okay.
Sebastian's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Sebastian he is the most professional, the most, he wants everything done perfectly. And,
That's what you want.
I respect that.
That's
about
what you
him.
want.
Yep.
All right.
So,
Well, that's really my story. So,
right.
yeah,
A
sort of
toast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Sebastian.
All right. All right.
there you go, buddy.
All
This
right.
is apple juice.
Oh.
So
right.
anyway,
Let's
guys,
get the host back.
I've seen the show a few times.
You've been on this show a few times.
I've been on the show a few times,
Yeah.
and I've never seen Sebastian talk.
No. He's
And
always
this
in the
is the
background.
Not
first-
really.
So this is a very special
Absolutely.
occasion, everybody, and I think it's also a special occasion because we have the hat of questions.
Oh my!
Yeah.
We have the hat of
Whoa.
questions, and honestly,
And it's
I
a
really-
yellow hat.
It's a yellow hat because I thought that would stick out.
Yes.
I thought that was your hat.
It was not my hat. No.
no.
No. I'm more of a mauve hat
Oh,
guy.
you like that,
Yes.
don't you?
Can't you say that, Pete? All right. So
I thought you
anyway,
got rid of those mauve shorts too.
Well,
all right. So
took him to Amvets.
the first question, and folks, just to let you know that I've lost so many brain cells that these questions are as fresh to me as they are to you. Guys, what do you think of today's popular music?
Wanna
I'm
say
talking
that at the
about
same
pop
time?
and country.
What word are you going to use?
Pop and country.
Pop and country.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I won't say it necessarily sucks, but Pete, you go first.
Well, the pop stuff sucks. The country stuff is kind of like, to me, country has taken on the theme of rock and roll. There's a lot of good country players out there, and I'll start with Toby Keith. He's one of my favorites. He is really good. That is not, to me, necessarily country, but in the age of where we have to label everything, and I hate that. I hate, labeling, gay, racist, all this shit. I hate it.
Are you allowed to say shit on this?
It's the
We're not under the cover of the FCC here, so I think we're okay.
Say no more.
no, that's just my opinion. I don't like any of the pop stuff because typically all the pop stuff right now is being generated by computers, and I like real musicians who play real instruments and sing real songs without all the vocal inflections and all the crap that goes with it. And I'll shut up. Go ahead, man.
Well, before I take this over to Alex, I think that one of the things that I really agree with is that today's technology can smooth out all the pitch problems
Sure.
and things like that.
Yeah.
And what happens, you don't get real emotion.
Yeah.
Of what you get is more like a robot.
Sure.
Of what I call like fast food music.
But Richie, you're a real singer. And when you sing, guess what? That's what happens. It doesn't get recreated by, again, you were asking Alex.
Oh, so no, don't. That's fine, Pete. And I'm gonna bring this up, but one of the greatest things that I respect is original songwriters, and you are an amazing original songwriter.
Yes, absolutely.
And
so is Alex.
and
Well,
Alex,
thanks, Pete.
I need to be more exposed to your originals, but I have to get back to the question because, like, me personally, I feel that pop music nowadays is like a fast food product. Like they keep like pumping it out,
Sure.
pumping it out,
Yeah.
and then as soon as it's popular, it's gone.
Yeah.
And being an original artist, and you also do cover tunes,
Sure.
and your live band. I'm going to ask you a different question. What do you like about today's popular music?
The Nobleman, by the way. Let's plug that.
The Nobleman.
The
We've,
Nobleman, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Me and Patsy Silver has plugged that enough.
It's like the
Oh, really?
Over the rainbow. That's a great question. What do I like about today's music? Well, it's interesting. When the question was first proposed, it was so when a question is proposed to me about something I like, I never like to look at the negatives first. I want to look at the positives first, because I think in today's music, there are some positives. If there weren't, I don't think that today's music would be selling and making the money that it is. So in any event, when you look at the decades of music, whether you start from let's think about the days where music was literally banging on a piece of wood and stomping your feet, to Mozart, to Elvis, to Led Zeppelin, to, I don't know, Lady Gaga. When you look at the genres of what goes across the decades, I tend to think that sometimes genres get boring for a period of time. The problem I have, though, is this big scary word called corporate. Right. There's corporate companies that want to drive consumers what they should be listening to. Whereas back in the day, if you look at radio, you had DJs, and DJs were the ones that
Right.
kind of pushed what was popular, you know. And
Consumer
back in those days, if we started a rock and roll band, we would try tooth and nail to try and get our record to a DJ and say, please, can you, you know, and that's what made DJs popular. So to go to your question, what do I like about today? I think I like still that there's talent. There's still very, very good, talented people out there. The thing I don't like about it, though, is that I think the people that are very talented today are not going to the highest talent that they could go, because I think that corporate music America is telling them this is what America likes, but I think that they can go so much farther than what they're capable of. And I'll use country music as an example.
Please do.
Country music has always had this cliche, but doing, you know, clangy, whatever, you know,
Mhm.
Telecaster drums and put a piece of,
My dog
Yeah.
died in my life, and my
Exactly.
wife left me for another man who's really a transvestite. Okay,
and
go ahead.
there was always this running joke where, hey, do you know what you get when you play country music backwards? You get your tractor, you get your wife, and you get your house back, right?
Exactly.
Right? But when you look at the essence of country music, there's always a story behind it. I think when you look at song lyrics in the old days when they were written before pop, and I say that in quotes because I think pop is a genre of the music sounding catchy as opposed to the lyrics speaking to a person.
Right.
You know, back in the day, you look at country music as an artist writing a song about their experiences in life and then putting music to it.
Right.
And now what we have is groups of people saying, hey, people want to hear this more, driving a truck down the trail road and we've got a cooler full of beer and blah, 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 blah.
And they never drove a truck in
Right.
their entire life.
And I guarantee you, if you put them in a friggin' stick shift truck, they don't know how to, especially if it's a double truck or a double clutch truck, they won't know how to do it.
Okay, great. You know what? We got to move on, but
Yes.
I am very blessed to say that I came in and experienced country music in the late 80s. And I played with a real country band in a place called the Club Utica. And I discovered what the real deal meant. I discovered George Jones. I
Ooh.
discovered Conway Twitty.
Yes.
And I discovered what real country
That's
was.
when country was like, boom.
Country
you know?
was country, and
Yes.
country was real. I
Yeah.
mean,
Not
Answer-
to interrupt, but isn't that when country was country, rock was rock?
yes.
You know, there was a difference between
And
those two.
alternative was really alternative.
Yes.
Alternative was
Yeah.
really alternative. But I mean, how can you get more real? Answer me this. How can you get more real than Johnny Cash? I just don't know. Okay. So next question out of the hat of
Uh-oh,
questions.
I'm scared
all right?
now.
All right.
You ready?
All right. Oh no. Oh no.
We might
Oh,
need a
no.
2-hour
Oh, no.
program
Oh,
for this here.
I'm sorry. I
think it might run over.
apologize about this one. I'm gonna even have a drink. All right. So, Pete, I'm gonna go with you first. Well, what is the worst interaction? I hope you had one with a nightclub owner.
Oh.
I really can't say that was the worst one. I remember
Hmm.
the one time that we were trying to book a band that I was in, and the guy told me exactly what he said was, you know, I don't care if you're the goddamn Beatles. If you don't sell beer for me, I got no use for you.
You know what? That is a great explanation, because one of the reasons why my band, which is called the Nightwing Show Band or the Memphis Flames, which kind of sounds like a gay hockey team, they were a great band, but anyway,
Oh, I bet they are good at cross checking.
Oh my God, you are so bad.
Ouch.
Anyway, a friend of mine from the party squad, Mark Dixon, who is the most amazing singer I've ever met in my entire life. Mark said, Richie, you guys are getting all these bookings. Are you okay, Pete?
Oh,
All right.
I think Pete needs a bib.
that was
He's-
funny.
So I think that
I'm sorry.
Mark Dixon actually told me, he says, you guys are getting all these bookings because you're great alcohol salesmen. And,
Okay.
The worst interaction that I've ever had, I'm not supposed to be answering this question because I'm the
That's
host.
okay.
But one night I was working at this place, and I can't mention the name, Delegates. And it wasn't a great night. There wasn't a whole lot of people that
Oh,
showed up.
I know
all
that
right?
feeling. Yes.
I mean, it
It's
was
basically
bad.
you're doing a practice.
It was like my
Yeah.
family. So during this occasion, the owner wasn't very happy,
Mhm.
and I went up to his office, and he said, "I'm sorry, but I can't pay you this evening." Because we didn't make any money
Yeah.
because no one showed up.
Right.
And I was being the empath that I am.
Sure.
I was like, I understand.
Yeah.
I get it. So I went down, and my drummer, Roger, who was from a biker gang, I said, nobody came, so we can't get paid. He goes, Richie, I'll take care of this. So he goes upstairs and talks to the owner and says, if you don't pay us, I just want to let you know that I'm going to have 50 guys out here on a motorcycle who's going to change your mind. And he turned the worst experience that I've ever had into a learning experience.
Sure. Yeah.
Because in my wildest dreams, with my low self-esteem, I never thought that you could overturn
Sure.
the owner of a place.
Yeah.
And my worst experience in a nightclub actually became my best experience because I realized that I can't even say this word. I was fill in the blanks.
Does it start with a D and end with a K?
No, it starts with a T. So
but
what
sounds
about-
the same.
What about you, Alex?
All right. So I can't say if I've ever experienced a bad situation with a club owner. I've experienced the club owners where they are in the bar and telling the band from across literally the entire restaurant that we're too loud, but we're not loud.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
So I was playing in the blues band. Stevie B and the Rhythm Rockers. God bless to Stevie. Just a little shout out to those guys. I was playing drums, and we were a decent band. You know, we're playing blues as a four-piece band. The crowd was saying louder, louder, louder. So we turned it up a little bit.
right.
The guy who owned the establishment, all right, he's across the room. So I'm playing drums, and literally the distance between me and this guy, it feels like I'm at the end zone of the Buffalo Bills stadium, and he's at the other end zone. But this is how I feel at the moment. He says, "You guys are too blanking loud. Turn it down." And I will ask you guys, guess what happened to the volume of the bar at that point?
You're gonna have to fill me in. Oh,
It was very embarrassing. All right.
So you really turned down considerably.
Well, we turned down on multiple occasions, and this guy still said we were too loud. And the embarrassing part was it came from across the room, and it was kind of one of those deals where, all right, we'll turn down, we'll play for you. We went to a break, we talked to the guy, and it was kind of, we weren't meeting side to side as far as what he was expecting and what the crowd was expecting, and we called it a night.
Well, you know what I have found out, and I'm sure that you can agree with this. I found out that it could be one person in the audience.
Oh, sure.
One person in the audience.
It goes
even
up
though
and complains.
99% of the crowd can be jamming and having the greatest time of their life.
Yeah.
But that one person can ruin everything. And let's move on to the next question.
I'll say real quick, my favorite is there's too much bass.
No.
That's
Oh
what-
my gosh.
I almost said that Donald Trump. There's
Oh.
too much bass.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
So bass players love me because I am the guy who says there's not enough.
I agree.
bass.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Because
Ian, I
bass.
hope you're listening to this, man.
So
He's
bass,
doing his Richard Nixon impression.
You know, I just want to say one thing, Alex.
Yes.
The first 30 seconds that I met you, I knew there was major talent there.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I'm saying. So
Oh,
anyway,
rock and roll.
Leave me out of this whole thing.
Yeah,
You know,
well-
I just get pushed into the back. Right?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but Keith, but Alex is shining.
I never had
Yes.
sex
Oh, all right.
Whose shoe was next?
All right, so I want to ask Pete
What?
a question here. And
All right, I'm here.
and by the way, I just want to mention that one of the reasons why I'm so involved in this show, Three Chords and the Truth, is because of the way Pete approached me. Pete is humble. Pete is kind.
I agree.
And
I agree.
Pete certainly has empathy for the people that he deals with. And when Pete called me, I saw that. And I want to thank Pat Terry
Mm.
for kind of opening this passageway.
Yes. Yep.
And
Very much a passageway.
That's a
Yes.
great
guy. He's incredibly talented too. And
Yep,
as you
yep.
know, I was doing this original song changes and I saw him on Facebook and I'm like, that's the lead guitar player.
Yeah.
So anyway, Pete, I have never asked you this question before. All I know is I really like you. So
Thanks, man.
what
you too.
musician I know because you're having me as the host of the show. What musicians have you been inspired by?
Oh man, that's tough.
That's a great question.
You know, obviously, I still remember, and you play. I think you played on that song, "Sixth String Highway"
Yes.
of mine.
Yeah.
You know, I still remember being 5 years old at my great uncle's house on Lovejoy, and watching. You know, the adults were in there, you know, playing euchre or pinochle, whatever, and stuff like that, drinking beer and whatever. I'm stuck in this little living room, and I'm watching the Ed Sullivan Show, which is what was on. back
Perfect.
then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the Beatles. And I'm like
Oh.
5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I want to be at that
Mhm.
young of an age.
Mhm.
But there's been so many that have inspired me over the years. I mean, I really dig, you know, the Beatles as a group. I dig what Lennon and McCartney wrote aside from the Beatles. But there was also, oh my God, Linda Ronstadt was very good. Melissa Etheridge. I
Oh,
love
man, yeah.
Melissa Etheridge.
Yeah.
John Mellencamp. Those are a lot of the big things, and even in later years. I mean, I kind of dug some of the Bon Jovi stuff.
Mm.
I know that's not a popular thing to say because they're considered too pop, but
You know the problem with Bon Jovi? He's way too good looking.
I know. Richie,
You know, I mean, honestly, I think that's why people can't stand him is
Mm.
because guys are jealous. I mean, I'll look at him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember saying that back in the mid 80s to my then wife. I said, this guy is going to make it just because of his looks.
Yeah, but he certainly had an individual style.
Right.
You listen, and John, we're paying tribute to you.
And you know, I agree. He as an actor myself,
Mhm.
he had a certain dramatic flair that was not captured maybe by anyone else.
No, I agree. I mean, he's a good writer. I mean, when he did that, in the 90s, what he did solo, that was when it's like, okay, that put it all together.
Sure.
Because he was really that good. But go ahead.
And
please ask
so,
John the
Alex,
same thing.
Sure.
Who do you think is the best songwriter of all time?
You better say me.
That is a loaded question. I will
I've
say
got a lot of loaded questions, my friend.
if this was FCC rated, I'd say Pete Kramer. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, that's a great question because I've thought about this for a very long time, and it comes in
At least the last 20 seconds.
Yeah. But that's a question that comes up sporadically through the times when I listen to music, and I think I hear an artist, I'm like, is this guy the best like lyricist or whatever? You know? And sometimes I get too involved in the pop stuff and I say Paul McCartney's the best lyricist ever. But Paul McCartney, in my opinion, is one of the best like pop music writers of all time. You know, he could write a song about 3 microphones and 3 guys sitting at a table like, oh, I'm gonna write a song here about 3 microphones, blah 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 blah. You know, and it would be a hit. You know, as long as you have a good band behind them. One of my favorite songwriters is Neil Young.
Oh wow!
I love Neil Young, and for the reason because he bridged the gap between folk, country, and kind of rock. He did,
yeah, like,
you know,
rock on a different level.
yes, yeah. And he was a guy for me. Like I would listen to these guys like, you know, Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. My Uncle Mike, if you're watching, love you. Great lead guitar player. But you watch Neil Young play lead guitar and he's like all over the place. It's as if someone injected lard in his fingers. He's blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I think he did that for a reason, because there are certain songs that he wrote that had certain lyrics, and he purposely wrote leads to those songs to sound. And I'll compare this to Jimi Hendrix' Star Spangled Banner in Woodstock with the missiles coming down. And I look at Neil Young. I don't necessarily agree with his outside stuff with music and stuff like that, but when it comes to music and lyrics and stuff like that, he's one of my favorites, because he captures the person. And for me, when it comes to lyrics, there could be 3 hooks in the song, but if there's a bar of a lyric that catches me, you got me, you know?
Neil Young, to me, and do I agree with you. There is what I call technical musicians and musicians that basically concentrate on feel.
Sure.
And Neil Young, without a question of a doubt, thinks about his tone and his style and things like that, and may not even pre-plan what he's playing.
Right.
But he plays it to add to the mystique and the feel of the message.
That's a great word, mystique, because a lot of his songs are mystique.
And no, I couldn't agree any further. And now it's time to go into the head of questions.
We have to keep moving on.
All right. Sebastian!
He's yawning.
Sebastian!
I was just going to ask, are we at 3 hours now?
Sorry. What's up?
I'm hoping we don't have to wake the audience up.
Let me tell you about my favorite bunion massager.
Ooh, I hate to interrupt you on that, Alex, but Sebastian,
What's my question?
I want to know now.
Yes.
Sebastian is obviously going to be a millionaire in the future.
Yeah.
Yes, he will.
And
By tomorrow.
Thank you.
yeah,
Just don't become Jeffrey Epstein. I digress.
Say no more.
Oh,
Sorry.
No.
Hooah!
Well, wait. I
Nanny.
can't become too rich, because all the top rich people all got divorced. So I guess
Oh.
not enough money in this world to keep a marriage.
Shibba-da-bee-ba-boop.
Well, that's not the question,
All right.
Sebastian. The question is, you have seemed to have tackled a lot of multimedia projects like this one here. Now, I know that this is just the beginning. So have you thought about your multimedia plans for the future? And if so, what are they?
Well, multimedia plan. Let's see, because how I would expand, like what I would do, because now I'm on summer vacation, so now I have plenty of time to to just do whatever. Because part of the reason too with doing this podcast of doing the 3 Chords and the Truth and doing my sports show, one of the things I could do is you could add on another subject. Maybe Wednesday I'm doing a movie podcast. I could be just talking about
Sure.
like you see what happened in the MCU. Oh my God, who got casted for this part? Something like that. And then I talked to you about this before too. There's always room for a mental health podcast too, because there's nothing there's plenty of them too, but there's not wrong with another one being out there. You know, my idea would have been like, the first episode probably be like I said in the beginning. The first episode would be like, the only reason I wanted to become a podcaster for me was because I had anxiety, and I had to prove to myself I could sit in front of a camera, and if I proved myself, now I'm like, oh, I can do this, because that's mentally in my head. I'm like, I can't do it.
And
I
you
can't
do
do
it very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just gonna say you're doing the best version of yourself to be able to use your anxiety for a very, very good purpose.
Because they also say there's also mental things like I have ADHD. I did
not know that.
Well,
I did not know that.
It was worse when I was younger. You could tell when someone has ADHD when they're younger. I would have if I get excited, my hands will do this. You know what I mean? I'm excited.
Did you put that on the resume?
Yes. No,
Put on a visual, Alex.
Yeah.
She did.
No. I think it's just overall just like I think mental health and either probably even a movie podcast would probably be something I want to move on, because now I have 4 subjects, and then if one doesn't work out, I have the next one. Whatever one takes off, is you don't focus on it, but if one blows up, you then market the rest, and then they should go up from there.
Well, you might want to think about doing a political thing with me and Alex.
Okay, you want to?
Oh my gosh,
I
am so out.
Wait,
If you guys want to do a political thing, I am not involved.
I mean,
That's all I'm
if we
saying.
want to do impressions, we can do that.
We
but-
could do
Yeah.
so Alex, thank you for the segue. And according to our producer, Sebastian, we got to do this quick. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back right into the hat, and I'm not going to know what I'm going to pick. And forget that. All right. So we don't have a whole lot of time. You know what I mean? So, this is nice. Pete, can you give me some advice for people who are just starting out in their first band?
No.
Okay, so Alex,
Next
Yes.
can you give me some advice for people who are starting out in their first band?
Well, I'll tell you what. If I could take a line from King of the Hill, what? Here's
You're
the
taking
thing.
a line from King of the Hill.
From Hank Hill. Yeah.
All right.
What? Here's the thing. If you're starting a band, it doesn't matter if you're an original band or a cover band. Listen to people who are constructive as far as criticism, and identify the difference between people who are negative and who want to put you down, because there's a big difference between the two. And also, I will say this: when you kind of understand what your flow is, as far as and this is what I mean by flow.
Okay.
You might have a group of 5 guys and say, we want to be a rock and roll band. And you start playing stuff and realize maybe you don't want to be a rock and roll band, and maybe you want to be a country band.
Right.
And my whole point is get to the core and the soul of what your music is.
Oh, man, that's fantastic advice. Yeah.
Because there's so many people out there that I've talked to. They're like, I'll go out to them, I'll see a country band, and I'll you did a great job, and yeah, thank you. I'm not really much of a country guy. Then why are you playing a country band? For some people it's all money, but in any event, as far as a band starting out, is really get to the core of what you think you guys will do a great job of, and identify the people who are helpful to you and the people who are hurtful to you. And then the second part is you have to invest in your sound and your instruments. And I'm not saying you have to go out and buy $1,000 Fender or a $600-700 Mackie board for sound, but invest in your sound. The best thing that you can ever experience is when you go up on stage is knowing that you don't have to worry about your equipment. That is the best thing.
I really concur there, Alex, because as a producer, I would definitely have to say a difference between an amateur band and a professional band is your sound.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you don't practice or rehearse what your sound sounds like.
Right.
And I'm not talking about in your basement or in your garage.
Right.
I'm talking about in a club.
Absolutely. Yes.
Then you really
Right.
are not striving to be a professional.
That's a great
Right?
point. That's a great
Isn't
point.
it?
Yep.
Because sound is the most important thing. Because how many people do you know that play in their basement and
Yeah.
get their sound at a certain way
Right.
and play in a club
Yeah.
and start feeding back?
And they're wondering why people are not liking our sound. What the hell? You know?
Yeah, exactly, because you got to get your sound down first before you become a professional
Absolutely.
entertainer.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now
No, can I re-answer what you just asked?
please do.
Yeah, here's my thing.
Closer to the mic, Pete, please.
Oh, sure.
Write your own songs. Write your own songs because you don't need to hear somebody doing the Beatles over again, the Eagles over and over again. No, put that thing back down the table. We're good.
I was gonna say, I think there's a price
just-
increase for holding a microphone.
I just am totally interested in what Pete's talking about because
No,
his original is blowing my mind.
I've been all over the place and listened to different bands doing different things, and I don't need to hear, all these different songs being played all over again. And people, guess what? Every song was an original at some point, right?
Right, sure.
It doesn't matter if it
Sure.
was the Beatles, the Eagles, the Turtles,
Let's put
whoever.
David Bowie into the mix, please.
I love
Ew.
David Bowie. David Bowie, he was just a cool, whole
He
different
was
thing.
an innovator. He
Yeah.
was a genius
I like the
innovator,
DB.
yeah.
David Bowie. DB.
No, and Alex has got a whole bunch of new songs and stuff. You know what really
I gotta
sucks
hear
to be-
Alex's new songs.
One day.
Well,
day.
but guess
Not
what?
when I've had
Okay.
2 glasses of whiskey and a couple beers.
No, Alex, everybody can probably see talent is written all over Alex. But go ahead, Pete.
No, I mean, you need to listen. You have to have an open mind to have. I mean, if the first time you heard "Start Me Up" by the Stones, right?
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
those
man.
first bars, it just hooks you,
I mean, honestly,
Yeah, absolutely.
Start Me Up. Start Me Up
It
was
doesn't-
one of the original videos on MTV
Really?
that drew me into MTV in the first
Okay,
place
that's
because
cool.
it was this cheap
Yeah.
video, but Mick Jagger drew me in
Yeah.
to this genre. I mean, as well as David Bowie, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel about him. Ashes to Ashes was like, come on.
that was so cool.
But the thing about it is that rarely original songs entice me to ask questions about those songs.
You wanna
And
ask me questions.
believe it or not, a person that's sitting right next to me.
Can we extend this show another half hour? Is that possible?
I think we could say, okay, so
guys,
so now Pete, you have written an original song that has blown my mind, and I see that you have your acoustic guitar here.
In a world where there is Pete Kramer and his guitar.
And all I'm asking now, I know we have to end the show. I do. And we have a hat full of questions that cannot be answered. But Pete, if you could close the show with a chorus of your original song that
Yeah,
has
I'm not gonna
inspired
do it.
me to believe that music can still stand the test of time and be something special that we can hear in 2021. Your song has done that. And I just want to hear the chorus and ask a question before you play it. Why did you write this? And then play it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you why I wrote it. And to be honest with you, thank you for that. Alex is actually on this song as well. I remember about 7 or 8 years ago
And
playing you this chorus.
and this
That's all
is
I
the
had.
highlight, ladies and gentlemen. This is the highlight of the whole show. This is the highlight.
So yeah, no, actually, the way that the whole thing began was because we were watching. Ronnie and I were watching on a Saturday morning. It was on Britain's Got Talent, and there was this old lady that came on. She was 82 years old. We're watching the whole thing, and Ronnie said to me, "She's like, oh my God, look at the lines on that woman's face. I bet there's a lot of stories in there." I'm like, give me a friggin' pad. I gotta write this down.
Yes.
So
oh yes.
and I remember playing this. Alex was over here about 7 or 8 years ago as well. And I said, dude, I got this idea for this thing. And it's taken me all these years to go ahead and get this done. But anyway.
Go ahead and play it.
If you could read the lines on that old woman's face, oh, what a story they tell. She could read about the time she was dancing to heaven and the time she was running through hell, and the baby she carried, loved one she buried, each has a time that a place. Take the time, read between the lines. There's a story on that old woman's face.
You know,
Love Pete.
I know we're supposed to end the show with that, but if I could just extend it for a moment. I have been involved with producing and promoting original songs for over 25 years. And I don't know how it translated over this show. You know, I don't know how the sound was like and things like that.
No, I don't either.
I have no idea. But the thing is that what Pete wrote about is something that I've actually experienced. I'm an entertainer who brings my entire family, my wife, my 4 children, my daughter Summer's 16, Jade is 13, and my daughters are amazing on the entertainment level. And my little boys, 9 years old,
Wow.
are maybe an inspiration to people who are over 80 years old. And what Pete wrote about is an experience that I have experienced.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's real.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's real. And when I heard this original adventure from Pete's mind, I thought about the 25 years that I've experienced entertaining senior citizens at not just senior travel shows. I mean, we've done, me and my wife Debbie, and the musicians that we've had the pleasure of working with have done major, huge events in Atlantic City and the Thousand Islands and blah, 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 resort areas in front of senior bus travel.
Yeah.
But the gigs that we've done with our children have bridged this intergenerational gap. And Pete's song has been more hitting to the core
Sure. Yeah.
of our mission
Yeah.
than any song I've heard before
Right.
in my entire life.
That means a lot.
And I have listened to this song at least 10 times.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel that Pete's song is a gift from God. And I am privileged.
Thank you.
I'm not kidding. I am privileged
I'm not
to be a
used
part
this.
of this. I know you are, Pete, because you're a very humble,
Yeah.
sweet,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and non-judgmental
Sure.
person.
Oh,
And-
and I would not have finished that whole thing off because if you listen to the studio recording of it, I couldn't have done it without this guy because
Yeah.
Really?
No,
Tell me about that.
You couldn't have
Tell
done
me
it
about that.
without the rest
No.
of the guys.
well, no. I mean, it was so cool because we had Larry come in and do the mandolin. Doug Tisdale is just so freaking cool with what he
Doug
does.
Tisdale is like the master of just
Right,
if that's what you want, I'll do it.
right. But
He's so good.
he said to me the one day, and I'm going back to January, and he said, "Do you think Alex could play harmonica on this?" I said, "I don't know, call him." Right. But I knew that I wanted the mandolin. I wanted the mandolin in there.
I don't know. Call him. Yes, I'm available. I don't know if he can play harmonica, but call him. I bet he can.
I play a mean harp, but
I
require.
So, did you think he could play harmonica just because he's that talented?
Him? Oh, hell yeah.
No. Oh, so it's Alex.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
No, that was him. And
Kids, don't do drugs.
but no,
Especially if you want to keep your nose, don't do coke.
when,
Oh my gosh, I never did coke, but that's a whole different story. Pete, please,
Pete.
continue.
All right.
Pete, carry on.
I'm afraid of coke. I'm afraid of coke.
I'm really worried about the fact that
I'm
we're gonna
afraid
get
of
this
meth.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that either. That's just wrong.
It scares me.
whole
I've
show is
seen
gonna get
some
canceled
very
because of
bad
that.
results from meth. Kids, please don't do meth.
Sebastian's like rocking his leg right now. It's like,
Sebastian's like, please
this
end
is
the
not
show
a
for
part of
the
the
love
show.
of God and the show.
No, it was so very cool because when I found out what we were doing and it went into the whole different stratosphere, Alex came over. He played, harmonica and sang harmonies.
Harmonies.
I like
What does that
harmonies.
mean, Pete?
Harmonies.
I should totally close.
They have a great salad.
No.
All right. They
No,
had a
I'm
great
just kidding.
salad. All right. I'm not going to end. Go ahead, Pete.
No, what it was, I was waiting for Alex to come over and do harmonica, and do the harmonies with Doug, and my good friend Larry Smith came over. He played, mandolin on it, and it all worked out into such a great song. It took probably 8 years to put the whole thing together. I still remember
8 years?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Alex came over here with Gary Poncho the one night, and he's like, "Play that thing." Played for me the other day. I'm like, okay, and Gary's like, what? And then before you know it, Gary's playing at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really cool.
Isn't that great though? Just
Oh yeah.
just
Dude, the networking that we
Yes.
all know
Yes.
these other people and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
But
no.
your song specifically, the minute you told me it was about kind of this essence about your mother,
it was.
it kind of kicked in this sense of urgency about
It was.
let's go.
It was.
I actually started crying because me and my wife and my children
Mhm.
have performed for people in nursing homes and senior centers for 25 years.
Mm.
And it's not just about singing and
Yeah.
performing, it's about talking to people.
Sure.
Yeah.
And learning about their life experience
Yep.
has been a blessing. It's been a blessing from God
Yep.
to
Yeah.
learn. And I'm getting off on a different subject here, but veterans from war.
Mhm.
Veterans from war.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We're of the same ilk.
Okay.
Hands down.
I have never felt so much empathy and respect
Amen.
for people who have gone through wars and seen death and have seen tragedies that we cannot even imagine.
Right.
All right. I just don't even know what to say except for Pete's song. You explain it all.
Isn't it true though that his song, like the lines on the old woman's face,
Yes.
could also apply to a person, like anybody?
It could have,
You know,
it could apply to a person and their life experience.
right?
With me, it applies to an experience that I don't understand.
Sure.
An experience that I don't understand, but I want to understand and I want to respect.
Right.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with that heavy commentary, I just have to say that it's been my pleasure to interview Pete and Alex, and I hope that I'll be. Hold on for a second, and Sebastian, the producer of the show.
Thank goodness.
I just want to say
All right,
something,
all right.
Sebastian, please.
All right, what's up?
Sebastian, I just have one question.
Yeah, one more. Yeah.
Why did you decide to produce this show?
Why did I decide to?
Mm,
Well, why did I decide to? Because
yeah.
I could. It was a learning experience. That's really why I decided to do it. It was
Sure.
because it was more learning experience.
Good for
and
you,
then
man.
it was just so I got one show. The thing is, if one thing goes bad on one show, and if I solve that problem, I'll know how to solve the problem on the other show. That's kind of just how it works.
Well, I
Let's
want
go
to
through.
share. I want to share one thing. I am a very busy guy. I am a very, very, very busy guy, and the reason why I chose to get involved with the show is because Pete is the real deal. Pete, the way he approached me, the way he talks to me on the telephone. I've been around the block, ladies and gentlemen. I've been around the block, and Pete is what I call the real deal. The 30 seconds that I met Alex, his immense talent struck me as, oh wow, who's this guy? And I think that this show is bound for great things, and it is my pleasure to host this show and to involve
Give me some, dude.
the both of you in this interview to actually tell the people who are watching behind the scenes of two great, not only entertainers, but great people. And I want to thank everybody for watching this show. 3 Chords and the Truth. And may God bless you all.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, good night. Thank you.
Cheers, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
no more.